Your number one source for local news. This is WRAL, coverage you can count on.
Thunderstorms are likely to develop after lunchtime. We have a level 1 risk of severe storms. Some of these could produce wind damage. I'll show you the timeline.
Plus, new this morning, we have learned some troops who were in Afghanistan are returning to Fort Bragg. How you can help make their return home easier.
And a chance today to get paid to get vaccinated. The $100 cash incentive happening at a clinic in the Triangle. Who wouldn't love an extra $100, right? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your Wednesday. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. It is great to have you along here. And it's a little bit warmer than it was at this time yesterday morning. But top end, Elizabeth, we're not going to end up hotter than yesterday.
Definitely not. We hit low 90s yesterday. And the cloud cover, the scattered thunderstorms will keep our temperatures most likely into the mid to upper 80s this afternoon. Big cluster of thunderstorms near Greenville, South Carolina. But that's likely to stay put to our west. We do have a cold front that's producing a little bit of patchy light showers up here into parts of Kentucky. That will sweep through here, but it's going to be a very slow moving system. Nothing happening for us right now, but by the afternoon we'll see some pop-up thunderstorms, but the front itself won't actually move through until tomorrow. So we'll have to deal with this for a couple of days. We have the potential for wind damage today and potentially some hail. We're going to end up, of course, with a very muggy start this morning. Lots of moisture in the atmosphere. So some patchy fog starting to develop in spots. You can see that in Anger. On Futurecast, expect partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies for this morning, and then potentially an isolated shower before lunchtime. Most of the storms will develop after lunchtime, and you can see those popping up. Again, some heavy rain and some wind damage, some hail possible with those storms. Those taper off overnight, but redevelop early tomorrow, and I'll show you tomorrow's timeline in just a few minutes. It's warm and muggy out there this morning, mostly in the 70s. We do have some low 60s up near the Virginia line. We're going to see temperatures in the mid 80s at lunchtime and in the upper 80s for highs this afternoon. Also tracking the tropics, Larry likely to produce some rip current danger through the weekend. I'll show you the forecast track for that storm coming up.
It is now 6:01 as we check traffic around the Triangle, starting off in South Durham on I-40 out at 54 between Durham and Chapel Hill. Headlights are eastbound, and right now that trip from 15501 to the Durham Freeway delay-free at 7 minutes. Around the Triangle, nice and quiet on major routes. All clear right now on 40 westbound heading through Garner on into Raleigh, and that ride from Wade to the airport looks fine on 40 westbound. We do have a report of a minor crash on Edwards Mill Road at Reedy Creek Road north of Wade Avenue, but at this point I'm not seeing any delays on the sensors. We have some new information about when that sewer project that has closed part of Person Street is going to be finished. We'll talk about that coming up in about 15 minutes.
Right now, the president is working out the final details of a new plan to ramp up the fight against the relentless Delta variant. At 2:45 this afternoon, President Biden is meeting with Dr. Fauci and others to get a look at the newest data and an update on vaccinations. Tomorrow, the president will detail his new robust plan to get control of the pandemic that's infecting tens of thousands of people every day. His 6-part plan includes a new approach aimed at convincing more people to get vaccinated.
A local clinic is offering a $100 cash incentive for those who show up to get a shot today. North Carolina Central University is hosting the clinic at its campus from 10 a.m. until 3:45 this afternoon. You do not have to be a student to go to this clinic, but you do need to sign up for a slot online. The first 150 people to get vaccinated will be given a $100 gift card. Those gift cards are being provided by the state. A statewide cash incentive vaccination program wrapped up in August.
Wake County school leaders are still looking at ways to keep COVID out of the classrooms. New data from the state shows 15 schools in the district have reported COVID-19 clusters. Here's what the dashboard looks like right now. There are 66 staff members in quarantine and more than 1,200 students in quarantine. That is fewer than 1% of all students. Parents are concerned about the instructional plans for those who are in quarantine.
They should be more proactive and tighten up on the quarantine protocols.
The district is looking at potential solutions to include paying teachers to provide live support after the school day and providing a tutoring service.
As feared, we saw a big jump in the number of newly reported infections over the holiday weekend. Check this out. Since Friday, more than 25,000 new COVID cases were reported in our state. The newest data shows more than 3,700 people are being treated for COVID at a hospital. Of those, more than 900 are getting ICU care. Local hospitals have said the majority of their patients are not vaccinated. More than half of patients who are newly admitted to the hospital are under the age of 60.
Also new this morning, we have learned some of the troops who stood in harm's way to help with evacuations in Afghanistan are starting to return now to Fort Bragg. You can help make that transition home just a little more comfortable. WRAL's Casey Cunningham is live in Fayetteville right now to explain how. Casey.
Good morning, Jeff. Yes, family readiness groups are putting together welcome home kits for the troops who are returning back to Fort Bragg after being in Afghanistan. There's some pretty simple items, too, on this list, stuff like granola bars. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and pull up an Amazon list here so you can see this. You can actually go to this Amazon wish list, purchase some of these items. That way, when the troops return, they can go back to their barracks and get settled without having to rush to unpack. So you'll see some stuff on this list like sheets and hampers. I also want to show you this too. This is what soldiers have been doing for the past few weeks in Afghanistan. You can see hundreds of soldiers from the 82nd Airborne. They spent weeks in Kabul. Actually, one Fort Bragg soldier, Staff Sergeant Ryan Knaus, was one of the 13 service members, unfortunately, killed in an airport attack. You can also see here some photos shared on Facebook of those working to evacuate Americans and Afghans. The 82nd Airborne Band shared photos of a welcome home for a group of troops that returned this past weekend, and now the family readiness groups are just hoping that these items can also help more of the troops that are returning. So we have a list over on WRAL.com with this Amazon link if you want to go ahead and help. There's some pretty simple items and not too expensive either, so that'll be on our website. Casey Cunningham, WRAL News. We're live in Fayetteville.
Today, we expect to learn more from Fort Bragg officials on plans to rename the post and how you can help make the final decision. Fort Bragg veterans and the surrounding community across Cumberland County will get a say in the renaming of Fort Bragg. The post is one of 10 across the country that will be renamed. Fort Bragg is named for General Braxton Bragg. He served in the Confederate Army and owned a plantation where people were enslaved. The commander of Fort Bragg will share more information this afternoon about how the renaming process will work. You can submit a suggestion now by going to the Naming Commission website. We have that link in the story on WRAL.com. We're following breaking news in Durham right now. Police are at an apartment complex off Hudson Avenue after shooting around 3 this morning. Our Brett Neese is there on the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. He joins us live with what police say happened. Still an active scene behind you, Brett.
That's right, Renee. The detectives are on the scene trying to collect some evidence and figure out who shot a person that sent them to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. You see all the activity here behind me. I want to get you, though, to some video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. This is the Bay Creek apartment complex. This is just north of I-85 in the northern part of Durham. And the shooting just happened around 3 a.m. And police have not released any suspect info, but you do see all that crime scene tape around that first floor apartment. I'm working to find out whether or not the shooting happened inside or just outside that apartment. As soon as I know more, I'll pass it along. Live in Durham, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
Brett, thanks. We're also following a developing story this morning. At least one person is dead after a powerful earthquake in Mexico. Leaders say the 7.0 magnitude quake damaged some buildings and originated near the resort town of Acapulco. Many people are without electricity across the country. First responders will be out assessing the damage this morning. This afternoon, a push to change alcohol laws in North Carolina could take a big step forward. The state Senate is set to vote on a bill at noon that allows online liquor sales and loosens rules for distilleries, wineries, and breweries. The bill also allows the sale and delivery of up to 2 drinks at university games and allows cities to create public drinking districts. There's a lot to unpack in this law. You can read more online at WRAL.com.
You have less than an hour to vote for North Carolina's Brooke Simpson to move on to America's Got Talent's finale. And after last night's performance, Simpson talked about what inspires her.
Anytime I sing a song that's not mine, I want to sing it as if it is my own. And then also, especially in an environment like this where you are surrounded by the best talent from all over the world doing acts of all different kinds, I can't just sing a song. I have to create a moment.
You can cast your vote for Simpson right now on the America's Got Talent app or its website. The voting ends, though. Better hurry. It ends at 7 a.m. You can vote up to 10 times.
6:09 now. We're hearing of another coronavirus variant to watch, where the Mu variant is popping up and why health officials are concerned. Plus, Britney Spears' fight to end her conservatorship takes an unexpected turn.
And our 7-day forecast, well, today and tomorrow we'll bring in some showers and thunderstorms. We'll go over the timeline for both afternoons and talk about our severe weather threat. But after that, we have some lovely weekend weather in our forecast. I'll show you the nice drop in our humidity coming up.
On July 23, 1993, basketball superstar Michael Jordan's father, James Jordan, was murdered in North Carolina.
This is the father of the most famous athlete on the planet, and on his 57th birthday, he was an unidentified dead man in the middle of nowhere.
From WRAL Studios, available now is Follow the Truth, where we dig into the story of the James Jordan murder and the man who says he didn't do it.
I know that if this was not Michael Jordan's father, I wouldn't be in prison.
We'll question the evidence.
Is it possible for a man to be shot in his car and authorities not find any blood?
Our ballistics expert says it couldn't have happened.
Shed light on the mystery that has always surrounded the murder.
Whether his financial dealings could have had anything to do with his death.
And uncover bombshell new developments.
Here we are a quarter century later, and the back cover on this whole murder case isn't yet closed.
Follow the Truth on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, the Weather 8 certified most accurate forecast.
It is 6:12. The radar is quiet now, but we get closer to lunchtime and certainly into the afternoon. We're going to see scattered thunderstorms with a level 1 risk for severe weather. In Sanford this morning, everything is nice and quiet. We do have some cloud cover, some low cloud cover, even a little bit of fog that's trying to develop across the area now that we're getting a little closer to sunrise. It's definitely warmer and more humid than it was yesterday as our cold front is approaching. So 73 in Fayetteville, 72 in Irwin, it is 69 in Tarboro, 67 in South Hill. Our bus stop planner for this morning, watch out for kids at the bus stop in a little bit of patchy fog this morning. As the kids are coming home from school, there are likely to be some scattered thunderstorms and possibly some severe weather. Again, we'll go over the timeline for that in detail coming up in just a few minutes.
I'm Micaiah Thurman here in the WRAL Live Center. Some sad news out of Indonesia. This headline showing 41 inmates have been killed in a fire that happened inside of a prison. Just take a look at this image. You can see the charred building there. They say that it was really centralized in one area of the prison, which is just outside of Jakarta. At this point, they say that the prison was already overcrowded, which is why so many inmates were impacted. This is certainly devastating for that community. Back to you.
Today marks 4 years since a medical helicopter crashed, killing 3 Duke Life flight members and a patient. The helicopter was flying from Elizabeth City to Durham when it crashed in a field near Belvedere. According to the NTSB, the pilot likely got confused by an array of emergency indicators and mistakenly shut down the wrong engine. Pilot Jeff Burke, flight nurses Chris Harrison and Crystal Solinger, and patient Mary Bartlett were all killed. This morning, more than 400 East Carolina University students are in COVID quarantine. ECU is working to contain 3 new COVID-19 clusters, including 2 at dorms and 1 on the ECU volleyball team. In the last week, nearly 250 students and staff members have tested positive for the virus.
While everyone's focus remains on Delta, scientists say other variants are starting to gain traction. One of those is the Mu variant that has now been found in 49 states and dozens of countries. The concern is it might be highly contagious and resistant to vaccines and treatments.
In countries where your population is highly vaccinated, the virus mutates more slowly. And in countries where you have lower vaccination uptake and greater transmission going on in the population, the mutations actually happen faster.
We checked, and North Carolina is not currently releasing any specific numbers on the Mu variant.
The trial for the 2015 terror attacks in Paris scheduled to begin today. More than 100 people were killed, more than 1,000 were injured when groups of gunmen and suicide bombers attacked the perimeter of a sports stadium in France and several other venues as well and restaurants. The Islamic State claimed responsibility. It called on its followers to attack France for its involvement in fighting against ISIS in Iraq and Syria.
With just days until the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, investigators are preparing for terror groups looking to exploit the anniversary for their own propaganda. In a joint intelligence bulletin, the Department of Homeland Security, FBI, and other agencies say ISIS or al-Qaeda could use that date to recruit more followers. Meanwhile, the pretrial hearings of 5 people accused of planning the attacks on 9/11 will continue behind closed doors. Today, the judge will meet with the defense and prosecution without the defendants. The pretrial proceedings are expected to last into next week. Be sure to join us this Saturday night on the 20th anniversary here on WRAL for Reflections of 9/11. It's a live half-hour special when we will share different stories of personal impacts and lasting effects from the day that changed America. It airs at 7 o'clock Saturday night on WRAL and Sunday morning at 8:30 on Fox 50.
Today, opening statements in the Elizabeth Holmes trial get underway. The founder and former CEO of Theranos is facing multiple federal charges. She's accused of knowingly misrepresenting the capabilities of her company. In 2003, at age 19, she founded Theranos, a company that she said would revolutionize blood testing, promising patients and doctors could test for conditions like cancer and diabetes with just a few drops of blood. Today, we'll get an update on a decades-long effort to provide a sound basic education for all North Carolina students. A Wake County judge will hear how the state is complying with the Leandro Plan. That plan stems from a 1994 lawsuit demanding an equitable education. It's costing more than $5 billion. But today's report is expected to show our state has the money to fund it. It suggests not cutting taxes will help state lawmakers afford those payments.
Tomorrow, we expect to learn more about downtown Raleigh's economic forecast as it recovers from the pandemic. Several prominent business leaders will share their perspectives in different sessions, both virtually and in person at Memorial Auditorium for the annual State of Downtown. Each year's report details growth in residential and business sectors. Time is running out to get tickets. Sales close tonight.
A little bit of humidity in the air out there, but the cold front on the way. We'll have to wait for this to move in. Slow moving, huh, Elizabeth?
It is. So what we're seeing right now is the cold front well to our north and west. What it's doing is helping to draw in some moisture. So it feels muggy. We're going to see some low cloud cover and patchy fog this morning. And then once we get into the afternoon, we add a little daylight, a little afternoon sunshine to the equation. We're going to see thunderstorms popping up. The front itself doesn't arrive until tomorrow. So we're going to be dealing with this for 2 days. We'll see an increasing chance of showers and thunderstorms, especially mid-afternoon on into the evening. Once we get past sunset, the thunderstorms will die down, and then the front itself will come through tomorrow around midday. With the thunderstorms popping up this afternoon, we do have a level 1 risk for severe storms. Wind damage would be the greatest threat. We could see a little bit of isolated hail, possibly a tornado, but wind damage is likely to be the biggest threat with this system. There's a lot of moisture that has moved in ahead of this front. What we're looking at right now is where the humidity is, where the moisture is. The green shaded area isn't necessarily rain, but there could be rain in those places. The greener it is, the better chance that we'll see some rain. But it's also where we have a lot of humidity in the atmosphere. And notice as we get to late Thursday, our cold front moves on by, and we're going to see a much drier air mass moving through. So that means a big drop in our humidity, and that will be with us for late Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even into the day on Sunday. That's going to make for some nice baseball. Interestingly enough, we shouldn't see much rain during the evening Thursday. We should see that front moving on by. And the Bulls have a homestand, so should be clearing out in time for baseball on Thursday and Friday, even Saturday. All look really nice. There's a doubleheader on Saturday. It's going to be a nice weekend to get outside no matter what you have planned. Watching Hurricane Larry, 600 miles southeast of Bermuda, moving northwest at 10 miles per hour. It is still Category 3, but becomes Category 2 over the weekend, but it does bring high rip current danger for the weekend. If you're planning to head to the coast, keep that in mind. Already today, we have high rip current danger for most of the coast, and that will continue. This system down here in the Gulf of Mexico is up to a 50% chance of developing. It is likely to bring some heavy rain and blustery conditions to North Florida and south of Georgia, and then it will continue to move on away from us. That cold front that will move through here on Thursday will kick that system away from us, so it's not likely to affect us in North Carolina, minus that increased rip current danger. We're looking at some beautiful weather, as I mentioned, through the weekend, but it does heat up a little bit from Monday and Tuesday. Coming up at about 6:45, we're going to talk more about our potential for thunderstorms the next few days.
6:20 right now as we check traffic, and on the still image from the camera out at 40 near 42, looking back toward the Clayton bypass, you can see a hint of some of that light patchy fog that some areas are seeing, some of that low cloud cover. Right now, 11 minutes to make that overall trip from 42 to 440, with most of those delays right around the Clayton bypass. Looking good in Durham, still have that crash reported on Edwards Mill Road at Reedy Creek Road, but still not seeing delays. A reminder about that emergency sewer repair that has closed the 100 block of North Person Street between Edenton and Jones Street. It's going to be closed into the early afternoon. We got an update from Raleigh water officials overnight saying that they hope to have all this done by 1 o'clock this afternoon. There is a detour set up in that area. We saw some pretty heavy delays through there yesterday afternoon. Consider using a couple of alternate routes if you're coming in from the south trying to get to downtown Raleigh. McDowell Street or Wilmington Street could save you time over Person Street through this morning. Back to you.
Thanks, Brian. You have a chance to get $100 to get vaccinated today. Coming up at 6:30, WRL's Nia Harden is live at North Carolina Central University to explain the incentive being offered at a vaccination clinic.
Plus, President Biden is rolling out a new plan to attack coronavirus. How it will focus on getting more people vaccinated.
And here are your lottery numbers on your screen right now at 6:21.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football is back, and the best bet you can make is downloading the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It doesn't matter if you're new to gambling or an old pro, FanDuel has something for everyone. And as an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you know your bets are safe. There's also never been a better time to use FanDuel, because right now, you'll get up to $1,000 back if your first bet doesn't win. You can even turn a small wager into a big payday with a same-game parlay bet. Just sign up with the promo code SPOTIFY to place your first bet risk-free on FanDuel Sportsbook. Download FanDuel today. 21 plus and present in Virginia. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
And Brian Schrader here now with What's Trending. Hey, Brian.
Hello. The saga continues. We now are hearing from Britney Spears' newly appointed lawyer after her father decided to file a petition to end her conservatorship. He's calling it a massive legal victory and vindication. The filing says that Spears' dad wants the best for his daughter, and he will honor her calls for independence. A judge still would have to approve the termination.
I mean, Britney is 39 years old. It is time for her to be able to make her own decisions, to live her own life the way she wants it.
Make it stop, Brian.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have enough problems to follow their problems. The original Steve from Blue's Clues is back. He popped up on Nick Jr.'s Twitter account to talk about why he left the show almost 20 years ago.
Because I realized that was kind of abrupt. I just kind of got up and went to college.
Looks like he's been to Lens Crafters here recently. He goes on to say that he is proud of all of his fans for growing up and helping him do the same. Good for him.
So great. He's still wearing that green rugby shirt and running through the fake backgrounds. That's so funny. And Brian, he says, you look great 20 years later, by the way. Still looking good. Still looking good. Holding it together. Thanks, Brian. There is a good sign for the movie industry. The release of Venom, Let There Be Carnage will open in theaters earlier than expected. Sony Pictures Entertainment has moved up the theatrical release 2 weeks to October 1st. The Venom sequel was initially supposed to hit theaters last October, but the pandemic pushed that back. The announcement comes shortly after Disney reported its latest movie surpassed box office expectations.
Quite a title. Don't be surprised if you see a famous TikToker in your favorite Netflix show. A new report suggests social media users are spending more time on TikTok than YouTube. Some TikTokers are even finding success on platforms like Hulu and Netflix. TikTok is also ranked as the most downloaded app worldwide since 2020.
2021 NFL season kicks off tomorrow night in Tampa. You can watch all the action right here on WRAL. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers hosting Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Games at Raymond James Stadium. Coverage begins at 7. Football Night in America. Kickoff 8:20. This will be the second season played during the pandemic.
We do have a threat for severe storms. It's a level 1 risk, but I'll show you the timeline and what we could see with these storms later today.
And a popular program popping back up for today. Coming up, I'm going to tell you where you can get the vaccine and cash in hand.
I'm Brad Neese, live in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker in Durham. Coming up, what we know about the person shot at this apartment complex overnight and their injuries.